So the topic for the day is self-care. I didn't pick this, just so you know. It's like when I pick topics, what I do is I'm usually, by the time I do this, I've been up a couple of hours and I see what comes up in my surroundings, what I read in the morning, what I find myself thinking about, what comes up in conversations with other people. And today was self-care. It was like self-care all over the place. Self-care as I'm sitting there in the car with someone who is challenging. Self-care when it happens to be the theme of a couple of daily meditation books that I read in the morning. And it's interesting, some of these daily meditation books are super touchy-feely, and the other ones are like, buck up, Chuck. And because really, there's a lot of people who consider themselves to be kind of like superwoman types, in my impression, and superman types, whatever, who are like taking care of a lot of people. And they think that that's kind and loving and giving and considerate and compassionate. And then you look a little bit closer and I'm like, holy shit, woman, you're like totally a hot mess. And you're not doing anything for yourself. And so here's the way I look at that. Not with judgment, but with this basic consideration of the fact that your energy, whatever it is, your chi, your body, you have a certain amount of energy. You have a certain level of energy. And you are or are not doing things to increase that energy. And if you aren't doing things to increase that energy, it's like a container of milk, right? You buy a gallon of milk, you keep drinking from the milk or pouring out the milk. At some certain point, you ain't got no milk, right? But if you're actually putting more milk into the container, you have more milk. So energy doesn't exactly work, I don't believe, in my body. The energy doesn't exactly work like that. It's not a finite container. It's a infinite spiritual container, because I do have the container of my physical body, and I am taking care of myself in a way that allows energy from greater forces, like positive thinking, if you want to call it that, God, the heavens, energy, nature, infinity, conscious connection, whatever you want to call it. There's an infinite source that constantly replenishes my well. So in other words, if like water were to come out the bottom, more is continuously going. It's like one of those fountains, right? The water is actually not coming from a new source. It just keeps recycling the water. And if the water were to dry up, there would be a way to put more water into it. So self-care is like that, right? It's not about touchy-feely, ethereal shit. It's literally like you got a container. You probably think of that container as like, oh, I'm just going to give to people. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. But you don't pay attention to the fact that you're depleting your container when you're helping other people. Even if it's an altruistic thing, even if you do feel yourself to be replenished, it still does take effort and energy to give and to care for other people. Whether it's your children, your team at work, or the people who are depending on you because you're running a business, or the person who's nurturing children or caring for an aging parent. These things are taxing. And if you're not doing things to replenish, you'll burn out. And once you start to burn out and you keep doing the same thing, you're living from an unfilled well. And that's desperation, and that's desecration, and that's emptiness. And that empty vessel that you keep giving from is a fodder for sickness. Everything from basic colds and viruses to more unhealthy major calamities like, death-defying, not death-defying, excuse me, real serious illnesses like cancer and things like that. All right, so self-care. Why don't you take care of yourself? Because you don't think you're worth it. Why do I take care of myself? Because I know I'm worth it. Because there's a power that's always talking in my ear, that's telling me like, you have to take care of numero uno. Now, here's the interesting thing when it comes to self-care. There's just all this language out there about what people think about. I mean, I'm probably even doing this myself right now, like spitting out this language, but I invite you to either take what I'm saying as accurate or resonating with you, or tell me to go fuck myself, or just dismiss it. I don't, it doesn't really matter, right? Because I'm not coming from this place of like, I got it all figured out. Here's the way it is for all these people or those people. I'm just musing about my own experience. But fundamentally, what I'm trying to say here is this well needs to be replenished. And I take care of myself because I want to serve people. And I understand that if I'm not taking care of myself, my need to take care of other people is actually selfish. It's really kind of funny because I live in a way that my self-care always comes first. And I also get called selfish by a decent number of people who think they know me. Think being the operative word, right? Because I'm the only one who really knows me. And even that is a vast education, getting to know myself. Who am I? But here's the bottom line. If you don't take care of yourself, in lieu or in favor of taking care of other people, and you're not looking at the cause and effect of that relationship and what it might be doing to your health, you're going to become an underdog when it comes to your own health. You're going to become overwhelmed. You may become stressed, and you can't live like that for very long. I mean, we all know there are periods of time, like, for example, when your children are really young, when your parent is really aging and sick, and if you're really caring for these people, a lot has to come out of you. But that's when really taking care of yourself, making sure you're eating and sleeping right and getting some movement in your body to shift energy, doing some kind of positive affirmation and thinking, that's when it becomes even more crucial. Anyway, so self-care is for all of us. Got to be thinking about like what's going on in my body and in my mind to be able to keep myself in good form. Like the French say, vous êtes en pleine forme. That's like you're in good form, you're in good shape. Strong, good. That's what we want. We want to live long, happily, prosper. Thanks for joining me. Have a good day.